What happens when you fight with God and win? This is the core mystery of one of the most puzzling stories in the Bible. It's a physical confrontation that takes place alone, in the dark, against an unknown divine challenger. The result is a crippling injury, a new name, and a lifelong mark of that encounter. The story is about Jacob, the patriarch who was always running from his past and running toward his future. But one night, God decided Jacob needed to confront his true identity and his deepest fear, not through prayer, but through a brutal physical struggle. This is the strange, mysterious account of Jacob's wrestling match at the Jabbok River, where he met a challenge he could never have anticipated and received a blessing he had to fight for. Before this mysterious night, Jacob was consumed by fear. He was traveling back to the land of Canaan after decades away, but to get there, he had to face his twin brother, Esau. 20 years earlier, Jacob had cheated Esau out of his birthright and his father's blessing. Now he heard Esau was approaching with 400 men, a clear sign that Jacob was about to face judgment for his past sins. Jacob was terrified. He split his family and livestock into two camps, hoping that if one was attacked, the other might escape. He sent waves of gifts ahead to appease Esau. After making every human preparation possible, he found himself alone. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. Genesis 32-24. The mystery begins here. Who was the man who suddenly appeared and began wrestling with Jacob? The text gives no introduction, no motive, and no warning. It was a physical, hand-to-hand combat that lasted for hours, consuming the entire night. Jacob, a seasoned man used to managing flocks and surviving rugged travel, met his match. He wrestled with all his might, driven by the survival instincts that had guided his entire life. He refused to yield, refusing to let go of this opponent who came out of the darkness. As the pre-dawn light began to appear, the challenger realized he could not simply overpower Jacob. Jacob was tenacious, fueled by a desperation born of fear and a deep-seated need for control. Since he could not overcome Jacob through sheer wrestling, the challenger resorted to a strange, supernatural move. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. Genesis 32-25. With just a touch, not a punch, not a throw, but a simple targeted touch, the challenger dislocated Jacob's hip. Jacob was instantly crippled. The pain must have been agonizing, yet he still refused to release his opponent. He hung on, now physically defeated, but spiritually unbroken. The challenger then declared, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." Jacob's response is the spiritual climax of the story. Crippled in immense pain and hanging onto a figure who had just demonstrated supernatural power, Jacob made a demand. "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." Genesis 32-26. Jacob realized this was no ordinary opponent. He was fighting for his life, but also for his soul. His desperation shifted from physical survival to spiritual assurance. The man asked him, "What is thy name?" Jacob answered, "Jacob," a name that literally meant supplanter or deceiver. The man then bestowed the blessing and the new identity that Jacob had fought for. "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." Genesis 32-28. Israel means he who struggles with God. Jacob's new name was a permanent testament not to his trickery, but to his courageous struggle. When Jacob finally asked the identity of his mysterious opponent, the challenger refused to give his name, but simply blessed him again before vanishing. Jacob fully understood the magnitude of the encounter. He named the place Peniel or Penuel, meaning the face of God, because, as he declared, "I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." Genesis 32-30. Jacob left the encounter crippled for life. He was a changed man, no longer running, but limping. He met Esau the next day not as a shifty trickster, but as a humbled, injured man. The permanent injury was a physical mark of his wrestling with the divine, a reminder that his strength came not from his own ability to run or scheme, but from his persistence in holding on to God, even when he was physically broken. The story remains mysterious because we never learn the name of the being, but the physical struggle and the resulting limp give the story an unforgettable, gritty reality. Does the mystery of the unnamed challenger intrigue you, or would you prefer a story with more clarity on the divine messenger?